Have you ever stood by a river and wondered where it came from? Rivers are like nature's highways, carrying water from one place to another, but their journey starts a long time before they flow through the land we see. Let's dive into the world of rivers and explore how they are formed. It all starts with something you've seen many times: rain or snow. When it rains, water falls to the ground. Some of it soaks into the soil, becoming part of underground water, but a lot of it flows over the surface. This flowing water is called runoff. If the weather's cold, like on a snowy mountain, the snow piles up. When it gets warmer, the snow melts, and this melted snow joins the runoff. This is the beginning of a river. At first, the water from rain or melting snow forms tiny little streams, almost like trickles. These are called rivulets. As they move downhill, they join other rivulets to create small streams. These streams keep coming together, growing bigger and stronger. Little streams team up to make one big, powerful river. Why do rivers flow downhill? It's all thanks to gravity, the force that pulls everything toward the center of the earth. Just like a ball rolls downhill, water flows downward too. Rivers always move from higher ground to lower ground, often starting in mountains or hills. As rivers flow, they don't just sit there quietly. They're powerful forces of nature. When water flows over rocks, dirt, and sand, it wears them down bit by bit. This process is called erosion. Over time, rivers carve out paths in the land. Sometimes these paths are deep, like canyons. Have you ever heard of the Grand Canyon? It was formed by a river called the Colorado River, which carved through the rock for millions of years. As rivers move, they carry things with them. These passengers include dirt, rocks, and tiny pieces of sand. These materials are called sediments. Rivers can carry sediments for hundreds of miles, especially when the river is moving fast. When the river slows down, it drops its sediments. This can happen in flat areas or where the river meets a lake or the ocean. The places where rivers leave sediments are often very rich and fertile, making them great for plants to grow. Every river has a starting point called its source and an ending point called its mouth. The mouth of a river is where it flows into a larger body of water, like a lake, a sea, or an ocean. Once the river starts flowing from its source, it begins its journey through different landscapes. The path a river takes is called its course. The course of a river has three main parts: the upper course, the middle course, and the lower course. The upper course is near the source of the river, usually in the mountains or hills. The river here flows very fast and cuts through the rocks, creating a narrow and steep valley. Sometimes the river forms waterfalls and rapids in this part. As the river moves away from the mountains, it enters the middle course. The river slows down a bit and starts to meander or curve, creating wide bends. The valley becomes wider and flatter. The river picks up soil, sand, and small rocks, which it carries along. In the lower course, the river is very wide and flows slowly. It reaches flat areas, called plains. The river deposits the soil, sand, and rocks it carries, creating rich, fertile land. Finally, the river reaches its end point, called the mouth, where it flows into a larger body of water, like a sea, ocean, or lake. At the mouth of a river, something magical happens. The river might form a delta. A delta looks like a fan or a triangle. It's made of all the sediments the river carried and dropped off over time. Rivers are super important to both nature and people. Here are a few reasons why. Water for living things. Animals, plants, and even people depend on rivers for water. Transportation. A long time ago, people used rivers like roads to travel and trade. Energy. Many rivers are used to create electricity using dams. Homes for wildlife. Rivers are homes for fish, birds, and other creatures. Fun river facts. The Amazon River in South America is the largest river in the world by volume. The Nile River in Africa is the longest river, stretching over 4,000 miles. Rivers can freeze in very cold places, turning into a pathway of ice. Question 1. What is a runoff? A. Water that soaks into the soil. B. Very small stream. C. Water that flows over the ground's surface. Question 2. What is the main source of water for rivers? A. Rainfall, melting snow or ice. B. Sediments. C. Erosion. Question 3. How does gravity help in forming a river? A. Gravity helps the source to form a delta. B. Gravity helps the soil to soak up water. C. Gravity pulls water downhill from higher elevations, which helps create small streams that join into a river. Question 4. What role does erosion play in a river's formation? A. It helps carve the river's path and shape its channel by wearing away the land. B. It collects all the sediments the river carried and dropped off over time. C. It creates electricity. Question 5. Where do rivers usually begin, and what is this point called? A. Its mouth, where the river flows into a larger body of water. B. In mountains or highlands. The starting point is called its source. C. The middle course, where the river slows down and starts to meander or curve. Question 6. What happens when a river reaches flatter land or plains? A. It slows down and starts to meander, creating curves and wide bends. B. It joins other rivulets to create small streams. C. It helps carve the river's path and shape its channel by wearing away the land. Question 7. Where does a river end and what is this point called? A. At its source in mountains or highlands. B. At its mouth where it flows into a larger body of water, such as a lake, sea, or ocean. C. At the plains where it slows down and starts to meander. Question 8. How does a river form waterfalls? A. By slowing down and depositing soil, sand, and rocks. B. By flowing fast and cutting through the rocks, creating a narrow and steep valley. C. By flowing into a larger body of water, like a sea. Question 9. What is a delta? A. Triangular landform, created when a river empties into a body of water and deposits the sediment it carries. B. Water from rain or melting snow, forming tiny little streams almost like trickles. C. Water that flows over the ground's surface. Question 10. Can rivers change their paths over time? How? A. Their paths cannot change. B. Yes, depending on the weather. C. Yes, it's mainly due to erosion and sediment deposition.